Base is dropped on Soccer's morning show. It's another go-round of Soccer Down here. John here, Jarrett there. And apologies for 907 because I got talking to Jarrett. And, since I hadn't talked to Jarrett in a couple of days. So, it was, we just kind of got caught up with everything, Royal Rumble, among other things. And the pop of that crowd, man, when Sammy hit Roman with the chair, 51,000 going absolutely berserk. I haven't heard a pop like that in a long time.
Yeah, it was good. The Rumble itself was good too. Like, they booked a good Rumble, and I got really nervous, honestly, at the. I got really nervous at the end because you have the whole thing with Rey Mysterio doesn't come out, Dominic does.
Yeah.
They make a very clear show at the end of it of Cody Rhodes jumping over the rope and going out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I swear to God. Like, if y'all find a way in a couple weeks to say, well, Cody, you didn't actually win the Rumble, so you don't get to compete in a way to build his baby face because Ray never came out, so Ray technically won. I'm gonna be so upset with him because it's gonna feel to me like a really stupid way to do this when you can just enjoy the fact that you booked a good Rumble.
Yeah, or does that open the window for Sammy to get the title shot at Mania?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe.
That's what. Yeah, Rich Cody winning at 30 was trash. Hey, John Cena did the same thing in Madison Square Garden in 2008.
Rich, man, like when Cody entered at 30, I don't know how you felt, but I was like, oh man, Cody's either going to win this thing or something. Like, it felt like Cody was either going to win it or he was going to lose it in a way to build him up.
Yeah.
Which is what they kind of did with Gunther. I loved the way, like, it's the perfect way to do it. You did it with a couple of the women, too, in the Women's Rumble, where you build it in a way so that they have to, you have to, like, so if someone's going to get eliminated,
yeah,
they look strong doing it. You had a couple of women, the younger women, get eliminated by Bayley and company.
Yeah,
you can eliminate somebody going up against the heel faction and still make them look strong. Absolutely something you can do. So I thought they did a good job of that.
Yeah. Will says Sammy should hold a title. Best worker on the roster, owns the best reactions, and has a mind for the creative.
And so here's the thing that I've always been a proponent of is that Baron Corbin is underrated as a worker.
Yeah.
I've always gotten I've always gotten the sense that they like working with Baron because he's very safe. Like not in the way that like he won't try stuff, but like he's safe to work with. No one's going to get hurt, and he's just going to give you a solid match.
Yeah.
That being said, it was hilarious to see him get buried a bit when Brock comes in, gets eliminated almost instantly by Lesnar or by Lashley, and then on the way out, Lesnar F5s Baron Corbin, so he's getting into the ring already broken, and then just gets thrown out shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
we're just gonna you're the cannon fodder today. Congratulations, that's your prize.
You're the Chelsea Green of the men's side. Yeah. El Generico days get creative genius. Yeah, Rich officially learning that Bloodline 2-year storyline was never about Roman, but about family. I mean, you go back to Hell in a Cell. And the match that they had amongst themselves, and Jimmy's in the middle of the ring, and Jay is over him to protect him, and Roman goes, "I don't know who I am anymore." And this was back in the days of COVID production and things like that. So this was long-term booking, and I give them
this might be our opening kickoff.
I think so.
Incidentally,
no, I think you're right. This is brought to us by our friends. I'll call it. Yeah, it is opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15 with our friends at Kickoff Coffee, and they'll take 15% off your purchase. And thanks to everybody who has been purchasing from Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, Kickoff Coffee Co, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And they in turn take 10%, roll it over into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, yeah. So there you go. Opening kickoff was, and we had, it's like, I was thinking that the opening kickoff was going to be about Wrexham because that was going on yesterday as I was driving.
I mean, we can still talk about it. I think we just dominated our own, we just kind of dominated our own segment.
Yeah. Opening kickoff B. Yeah. And Ricky, we'll get into that as well. The MLS had another round of announcer announcements. Announcer announcements? I guess that's right.
Announcerments?
Yeah, announcements. You've got.
I like that term. Let's do that. Announcerments. It's canon.
Yes.
You're all welcome.
Yes. And Kevin Egan has been part of the announcement that was brought out this morning by Major League Soccer and Apple. Kevin Egan will be a part of the games for Apple this season. So very, very cool stuff that was announced there. Some really cool names that were put out by Major League Soccer. And it was, let's see, who else was on the list for play-by-play here? You've got Dre Cordero, Keith Costigan, Matt Cohen for French language, Egan, Followwill, Adrian Garcia Marquez, and I hope that he's paired with the American legend Kobe Jones, because that AGM and Kobe have their own thing, and so pair the two of them up together when you need AGM to come across and do English language. Adrian Healy, that was announced on Adrian's social media earlier last week. Eric Krakauer, Jorge Perez Navarro, Francisco X Rivera, Mark Rogandino is a part of it. Sergio Ruiz, Tyler Terrence, Callum Williams. So Callum will be announcing in all caps again for play-by-play. Analysts, Patrice Bernier, Eduardo Biscayar, Dunny is on there, Danny Higginbotham's on there, Kobe Jones, Devin Kerr, Jaime Macias, Francisco Pinto, Heath Pierce, Lloyd Sam, Ross Smith, Carlos Suarez, Jamie Watson. Hosts, Stefano Fusaro for Spanish, Kalen Kyle. Studio analyst, Shep Messing, and your rules analyst, Christina Uncle. That came out this morning from our friends at MLS and Apple. They joined the original 18 that were announced. And it's Kendra D. St. Aubin, Mo Adu, Lori Lindsay, Daniel Slayton, Taylor Twellman, Marcelo Balboa, Sebastian Letou, Sasha Klestion, Bradley Wright Phillips, Diego Valeri. Hosts, Liam McHugh, Jillian Sakovitz, Tony Cerci. Play-by-play, Max Bretos, Ken Gelosi, Jake Zivin, Pablo Ramirez, and Frederick Lord. So that's your list right now for Apple TV and Major League Soccer. So yeah, that came out this morning. So we got that. But I guess kickoff B, Wrexham. We were watching that yesterday. I mean, I was listening to it. It was on Sirius XM, and it was fantastic atmosphere from what I could gather. Sellout crowd of 9,000 that was there. And it showed you what the all-in tournament, the FA Cup, is all about. 732 go in, 32 are left, and one of those 32, Jarrett's Wrexham.
One of those 32 left is Wrexham. Now we get a replay. Here's the thing, man. Like, here's the conversation I want to have about it, because everybody, again, this is the thing where, like, we operate in this black and white world, and it's really annoying and it's really exhausting. You can enjoy something without tearing something else down. I don't know if y'all don't know this is possible. I don't know who all needs to hear this, but you can have a conversation about something, enjoying it, without tearing something else down. Now, whether that's your attempt to build up MLS and tear down Wrexham, or whether that's your attempt to build up Wrexham and tear down MLS, like you can enjoy something. You can have a passing enjoyment. You can have invested enjoyment. You cannot give a damn without tearing something else down. And I realize for some that is a horrific concept that people don't want to ever enjoy, because especially when it comes to U.S. soccer, and especially when it comes to the way people deal with the MLS conversation on the U.S. soccer level outside of the actual league.
Yeah.
And how toxic it gets, and how, I mean, Jesus, half the time, like where you're like, I'm genuinely like wondering sometimes, like, do you want to talk about it? Because some of y'all like, it gets personal. It gets weirdly personal.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you feel like it has to get weirdly. I don't know if it makes your balls feel big. Don't know what it is. Don't know if it makes you feel good, but it gets weirdly personal. You don't have to have that. It doesn't have to tear something down. You don't have to You don't have to take a dump on MLS or Wrexham to feel good about the other one. You don't have to bring up one or the other, even more so. Not even a matter of like both of them can be okay. Like, no. You can just discuss them without discussing the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, Wrexham's a fun story. They got a fun history. It doesn't work the same way in America because we don't have that investment history. You want the closest thing to that's probably college football in the South, maybe NFL in the North, baseball in some capacity, although that has kind of, ebbed and flowed throughout history. Baseball has. But yeah, you don't have to bring up MLS. You don't have to say, well, they should do this, and this, and they could be like Wrexham. You don't have to bring it up. You can say, hey, I care or don't care about Wrexham in the grand scheme of things, but this is pretty cool. Because it is. By the way, Wrexham got put in a special hell yesterday because even though it's a 3-3 draw and it goes to replay, their XG was like north of 3, and Nottingham Forest was like 0.7, I think. So I feel bad for Wrexham, if nothing else, because they played their ass off.
Sheffield United.
Or Sheffield. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Nottingham Forest because I'm thinking of the rumor we were reading about Brenner from Cincinnati. Yeah. Which, if you don't know that, Nottingham Forest wants Brenner. And Brenner is really pissed off at Cincinnati because he wants to go, and they're not letting him. So, yes. But Sheffield United had like a 0.7 XG in that game. So, I don't blame Wrexham for feeling hard done. They played their ass off.
And and had there been VAR, you probably would have had a handball and a penalty, which would have put the game out of reach.
Yeah,
but that's
Oh man,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm really tired of reading everybody getting aggressively personal about their pro anti MLS, pro anti Wrexham, pro anti England, whatever it might be. Like, it doesn't have to be this way, guys. I promise you, it doesn't. You don't have to live your life like this.
It's okay.
I'm just tired of it, man.
And Sean Dyche, now your new manager at Everton, that was announced recently. So Tom Ropes, Sean Dyche, what do you think? So that's out there this morning as well.
Tom and I were having discussions about watching the San Francisco 49ers refuse to run the triple option yesterday.
Oh, that would have been so bad. That would have been awesome.
It would have been wonderful.
You run it with Debo, Ayuk, and CMC, and you have use check as your A back.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's my mindset of it. I'm thinking CMC's taking the snaps. Use checks your A back, and either Debo or Ayuk is your B back. I'd say Kittle. Kittle would be such a fun back to have there, but Kittle's such an unbelievable edge blocker.
Yeah,
that you can't.
No. Your daily Yakimakis update, Minotaur Watch. Hamish Carton, and this came out about 2.5 hours ago. Hamish, who has 13,000 followers on the Bird app, wrote a book. Author of Never Stop: How Ange Postecoglou Brought the Fire Back to Celtic. Available to pre-order now, according to Hamish.
The answer is he was not Neil Lennon.
Yes.
Yeah,
well.
By the way, we'll get into this in a bit, just for like 5 minutes, if you're okay with it, John. After this, but Aberdeen reached their resolution.
Yeah,
they reached the end of the road. We can get to that in a minute after Yakimakis.
Yeah. So Hamish Carton says that Yakimakis was at Lennoxtown earlier for the final time collecting his stuff, off to Atlanta United in MLS with the transfer to be completed in the coming days. So that's where we are with Yakimakis Watch. That's the latest that we have from 2.5 hours ago. He was at Lennoxtown grabbing his stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. I know that we do want to talk about Atlanta United and Chattanooga. Like I said, I have my rosters, have my notes. So whatever questions you guys have, fire away, put them in the queue. We'll address them. And I know that defense is going to be one of them. But here's my lineups for both halves. We'll talk both teams. Whatever you guys want to talk about with Atlanta United, that's out there as well. Atlanta United, Chattanooga FC. First off, it's great to see everybody who made the trip to Chattanooga. It's great to see friendlies and great to see stuff. Okay, since we're overseas and we're in the SPFL, Jared, Aberdeen, go.
Aberdeen no longer has a permanent head coach. They have an interim now. Jim Goodwin got damn near kiffined.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he got to ride the bus back to Aberdeen from Edinburgh.
How did he get home? That's the question.
I don't know. It's not as bad as like Kiffin getting left at the airport, 500 miles away, because Scotland's not that big.
Yeah.
So this was El Sacchio this weekend. We talked about a little bit on Friday. Hibs and Aberdeen, both looking at managers that were on the hottest of hot seats. Aberdeen proceeded to lose 6-0 in a game they had to have. The management did not fire him after he lost to 6th Division Darvel FC in the Scottish Cup.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we'll see what happens this weekend. Well, what happened this weekend was Aberdeen lost 6-0 to another team in the top flight that might or might not be looking to fire their manager.
Oh.
Not a good situation to be in if you're Aberdeen.
Oh,
so, yes, what you are looking at here now is an Aberdeen team that now has an interim manager, and you just go limp it through. He did not last a full year, did Jim Goodwin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation about, man, the job is too big for him. That might be the case. Maybe you shouldn't have given him the job then. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you should have done a little bit more research instead of hiring him off the bat like you did.
Yeah.
That's just me.
And, hey, Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon's at a 4-1 odds, and that is a level of hell that you are not ready for, man.
Oh
man, we're going to go back and play the old style. Like, he'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You won't enjoy it, though.
No.
I'm here to tell you.
No.
You won't enjoy it, and I don't know that it's going to work. I don't know that it's going to work when Aberdeen doesn't have the salary cap that Celtic or Rangers have. Yeah, Aberdeen has decided that losing to a 6th Division team wasn't enough. Getting the 6-0 goose egg dropped on you by a Hibs team that's been limping along, that's enough to do it. Yeah.
So good on you. Way to go. So you lose to a 6th Division team, then you lose 6-0. So at least there's some symmetry there for Aberdeen, and it was bad. All right. Atlanta United, Chattanooga FC, crowd of about 7,500, and they put them on the shady side of Finley Stadium instead of the sunny side. But, great day for soccer. And like I said, it was fantastic to see everybody who made the trip. As I was trying to race down and get post for the show that is on the network, if you missed it and want to go back and listen, it is thoughts from Gonzalo Pineda, Luis Aruju, Rod Underwood, and Marcus Nagelstad, and the highlights of the match. Because if I'd played the highlights of the match here in this show, we'd still be going. And 3-3 after 45, and that was how it finished. Two distinct starting lineups for Atlanta United. In the first 45 for Atlanta, Brad Gazan was in net. You had Santi Sosa, Luis Aruju wearing the number 10, Brooks Lennon, Miles Robinson, Franco Ibarra, Andrew Gutman, Mateus Osechu, Air Force One, Machop Chol, Jackson Conway. That was your first 45. Knox to Mosqueda and to Thiago Almada kept them out. And so things had to be kind of adjusted in the midfield a little bit. And Gonzalo Pineda mentioned what he had to do in post-game. So like I said, the post-game comments are there. And it was crazy. Nagelstad scores as Brad was trying to make a save, couldn't keep the handle on it. Nagelstad puts it in, makes it 1-0 in the 8th. Luis Aruju gets the call to take the penalty, which once again adds to the idea of giving Luis added confidence, takes the PK, slots it home. It's 1-1. Machop Chol off a giveaway at the back. Good to see Machop get onto the score sheet, made it 2-1. 8 minutes later, Nagelstad gets the equalizer to make it 2-2. We actually go 14 minutes without a goal, and it was Luis Aruju again with mistakes at the back, and it was 3-2, and then McGrath scored in the 44th to make it 3-3. And then second half, Jared, it was Ronald Hernandez and Quentin Westberg were the older veteran players that were there for Atlanta United in that lineup. In the second 45, you had Noah Cobb, you had Aiden McFadden, Alan Carlton, Nick Firmino, Luke Brennan, Tyler Young, who had a couple of chances, David Mejia, Kofi Tumasi, and Daniel Sabatu. So
a lot of kids.
Two distinct 45s. For Atlanta United. And when I asked Gonzalo Pineda after the match about the group that was there in the second 45, specifically asking about Noah Cobb and Luke Brennan, Brennan got in behind Chattanooga Chattanooga's backline a lot in that second half, creating a lot of opportunities for Atlanta United. And he was glowing about Luke Brennan and also positive about Noah Cobb, understanding full well that Noah knows that he's got a lot of growing to do, and he's got a lot of improvement that he needs to make as well. But it was interesting to hear Gonzalo Pineda talk about the young guys and how he was not happy with the performance at the half, and then he goes out and sees the kids for the second half, and he could not have been any more happy with what he saw out of the kids in the second half as they're chasing those first team spots and all of that energy and the youth that was there. He really was happy with the output that he saw in the second 45 from Jared. A lot of guys that we saw last year with Atlanta United too.
I think he should be. I thought they were really good. I thought a lot of those kids were really good. And that was what you wanted to see from them. That first, it's not even because you're not in dress rehearsal mode yet. You just want to see what these guys can put together consistently, and I thought you got that out of. The kids, especially the first half. It's a lot of sloppy play, man. A lot of mistakes from both teams because it's. If we're going to talk about the sloppy giveaways and how like Atlanta's goals came from a sloppiness, that's a two-way street, man, because both teams were sloppy defensively.
Yeah.
With those individual mistakes that you want to clean up, where it's clearing a ball for the second Chattanooga goal and you're unable to just get the trash out of there. Hell, y'all, those of you of a certain age, go back to Mighty Ducks 3, where they go play for the Academy. And right before the big climactic game at the end of the movie, they do a drill where they have to clean the trash out from in front of net, and they literally dump trash in front of net and go and just clean it out. You got to clean the trash out from in front of your own net. You have to find a way. Mm-hmm. And that's easier said than done. You have to find a way to get the trash out from in front of your own goal. They didn't do it. Both teams sloppy as hell. We talked about this last week that, and I have over the years taken my fair share of blows to the ribs at NISA as an entity.
Yeah.
And as much as like NISA teams have been really, coming and going and hit and miss, Chattanooga is the exemption here. That organization has been really damn good. It has survived. It has survived numerous iterations. It has survived numerous leagues. It has a very good following. It has a very strong energy. It has a really damn good coach. So when you take your blows to the ribs from NISA, understand that Chattanooga is the exemption to what NISA is, as far as when you want to make the lazy jokes about NISA, and I've been certainly guilty of that. Mostly because Peter Wilt wouldn't shut up. Chattanooga might as well be. I guess, do we want to just Dalton FC it? Because look, if you didn't already know about the Catamounts of Dalton High School, that's your fault. We've talked about them plenty. They've been winning state titles. And Dalton, I don't know if you know this, it's more than Carpets and Lee Greenwood.
Yes.
Thank God for it. But Dalton's a damn powerhouse when it comes to the sport. And you got guys over there playing for Chattanooga who decided to take that route, and it's looking really good.
Yeah, you've got
Chattanooga's got a lot of talent around them, and they're using it.
You have the Rodriguez brothers, Damian and Fabian. Fabian 2 years younger than Damian, and Damian Rodriguez was ultimately responsible for one of the goals coming in off the right hand side, and I think it was the McGrath goal that made it 3-3. Damian Rodriguez comes in from the right hand side, draws two defenders to him, sees the opening, and the help in behind isn't there, and it's slotted home for a goal for Chattanooga FC. And it was brought up. Lucas Panzica and I did the broadcast on 11 Sports, and we opened up the second half for questions because of the fluidity of the game and the changes in the 11s and things like that, where Rod Underwood was looking at trialists, and his entire lineup, I want to say, in the second half was trialist. Krim, Marriott, Acosta. Okay, Hugo Martinez was not a trialist. Burns, Cruel from Tormenta. Domaratsky, who came in late, was a trialist. Caleb Tammy, who came in late, was a trialist. Fabian Rodriguez is not. Quistra, Boone, and Andreas Jackson, who's from Ackworth, and Burke. So 2 of the 11 out there in the second 45 for Chattanooga FC were trialists. Rod Underwood was trying to get a look at what he brought in. I think they were looking to sign 4 to 6 of them. But the Rodriguez brothers, Damian Rodriguez, was asked about in the second half. Does a team like Atlanta United take a look at somebody like Damian Rodriguez? And I said, tape doesn't lie. I said that the way that the universe is these days, word gets out. And it's not like it is in the old days where you have to ship a VHS tape or you have to, burn a DVD and mail it someplace and sit there and say, hey, take a look at this guy. Word on Damian Rodriguez after his performance this weekend in Chattanooga, word got out. I can guarantee you that. And so Damian Rodriguez will definitely be somebody to take a look at for other leagues outside of NISA who are looking for talent up top. Damian Rodriguez definitely will be one of those names that you look at. But, yeah, to your point, Jarrett, with Damian and Fabian from Dalton, then you had Andreas Jackson, who was with Georgia United, went to North Cobb. He was a trialist in the second half as a defender. So you've got all of this influence that's there for Chattanooga FC with sticking with a lot of folks that are close. 3 of those folks in the first and second half have that part in Northwest Georgia. So yes, if you don't know, we've tried to tell you, if it's not Dalton, it's Northwest Whitfield. It's a lot of those folks up there in Northwest Georgia. The Rodriguez brothers, definitely somebody to keep an eye on.
If you don't know, well, now you know.
Yes.
The rest of the story.
Thank you, Paul Harvey. But, and I know that a lot of folks were, Rod Underwood had a trialist at right back, Jung-Woo So, and threw him into the fire going up against the center striker back in Andrew Gutman and Machop Chol, who would, they would alternate runs outside and inside and make it difficult for a trialist out of the blocks. Then you had, Jean Antoine, who was one of the best keepers in NISA last year, and Underwood admitted that he was trying to find one of the most difficult conversations he had was with the starting keeper last season, and having him understand it's like, I want to try to bring in someone like a Jean Antoine, and Jean Antoine's going to be there. Mutai Mwape started in the first half, finished the season with Tormenta as they won a championship in USL League One. And McGrath and Nagelstad come back. And also remember, Chattanooga FC came in 3 weeks early for this friendly with Atlanta United. So you got to see a team that finished second in NISA last year. Oh, and Jared, I was doing the research last night. I was trying to explain to the boss about NISA. There are just as many teams who have folded as there currently are in the league right now, active franchises.
Yeah, I mean, NISA's had its ups and downs, but I want to be clear with people that, like, hey, I know it's really easy to throw the shots at them, but Chattanooga has been the exemption, and they've continued to build an amazing system up there. Look, if y'all, I mean, most of us from Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, you know Chattanooga. Bam, being Australian, probably not as much. Little town, couple hours north of Atlanta. Lot of train history there, and it's a cool little town that people love to go to, and they've built up this really cool community for the game there. They have a rivalry with Chattanooga Red Wolves, which exists in USL League One, which their Chattanooga Red Wolves are good in their own right. I mean, it's third division, just in a separate third division, because why not? We're all playing Calvin ball, right?
Yes, we are playing Calvin
ball. Yeah, man. It's this thing where, like, I want to kind of walk this line of, there's a lot you got to get right if you're Atlanta. You think with Thiago back in that you shift the midfield around a bit, because I wasn't impressed with the starters ultimately. Ibarra still, I am desperate to see Ibarra hit the strides he hit in 2021. The Seattle game always sticks out to me, but if he doesn't put things together consistently, then it becomes an exemption rather than the rule of what he is and can be.
Right.
Santiago Sosa, can be just, if he is, especially what he was at the end of last year or at the beginning of 2021, before he was dealing with injuries and hernias, he can just be an outstanding midfielder. Ozzy Alonso coming off of his knee, you don't know what you can really expect out of him. You need Mateus Susetu to be the guy they think he can be.
Yeah.
I would imagine that if he can't be, that would be the place I'd be looking at. We talked about Atlanta not necessarily making all their moves right now, but if he isn't the guy you think he can be, if he's not doing the job, that summer window might be where you're thinking about that kind of a move. The guys in the second half, though, man. I've sung the praises of Alan Carlton more times than I can count.
Yeah.
Alan Carlton's been fantastic. He really grew up a lot last year, I thought, as a player with his aggressiveness and his willingness to just fly all over the field. Still kind of a gawky kid, but he's a teenager. We all looked like that at some point.
He's got some sandpaper in him.
He got some sandpaper in him, but he still looks like a water bird.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Brennan, y'all, if you want to start taking bets on who that next homegrown is going to be, if you're a sicko who wants to play the futures on that, Luke Brennan's not a bad one to bet on. Really talented kid. Daniel Sabatu is a huge year for Sabatu because he missed a lot of last season with injury. He is a big physical presence as a striker. He scored in 2021 for the second team playing as a teenager, missed pretty much all of 2022 with injury. Him and MLS Next Pro, it's going to be a very big opportunity for him. He's got to use that opportunity to show them that he deserves to be in the consideration for that next homegrown deal. These are big moments for Jackson Conway.
Yes.
Niall shares the update you shared that it sounds like Yakumakis is coming here. That saga is
closing.
That saga appears like it's closing again. All I ask for is one normal transfer saga. It will never happen. We'll never get that. It sounds like Yakumakis is going to be that guy now. Does that mean Jackson Conway's your off the bench guy? Very possibly. Yeah. I thought he did a lot of the dirty work up top yesterday. Not a ton of service.
Right.
The thing with Jackson's going to be, can he put away the opportunities when he gets them? Because he kind of, I don't know about you, John. I thought he ran hot and cold last year with the twos.
He did.
Where he would have games where you give him 3 chances, he's going to put 3 in the back of the net. You give him games where some of those tough road games where you're playing an experienced team who's not going to give you many chances, and he would not take full advantage of the chance given to him.
Yeah.
And it's tough because it's very unforgiving because you have to take advantage of those chances. If he doesn't take advantage of them, then you're missing out. Can he be that second guy? Because I think he's past what MLS Next Pro's level is going to be. Do you bring in a second striker, a cheap, secondary striker?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do here? Do you go get somebody on loan for cheap, like a Cisneros kind of guy? I'm interested to see how that shapes out. The last of the guys that stuck out were, what's left to say about Noah Cobb? If you're not convinced about him, or you want to see more, fine. If you don't know if he can do it, I don't know what else to tell you. He's got the skill set to do it. He's going to have to put it together at the biggest stage. And that sometimes is easier said than done. And some guys, Ricky Ricardo calls for Ola Kamara.
Yeah, Kamara's out there.
Yeah. Noah Cobb's going to have every opportunity to put together at this stage, but he keeps doing well. So I'm running out of reasons not to give him those opportunities. Of course, don't know how deep this is going to look. You're talking about bringing in a Peruvian defender as soon as possible, and I think I saw the reports of 300,000.
Yeah, 300,000 euro, and that was on Saturday with the Granada and Atlanta United. Once again, checking sources and making sure that you find your tier ones. The latest on Luis Abram was that, once again, Granada, Atlanta United reached an agreement for the transfer. Figure close to 300,000 euro. Granada will keep a percentage in case he is sold on in the future. But like I said, that was Saturday. We still have today and tomorrow. In the European theater, there are other ways to bring in players, and there are other mechanisms. But the European transfer window shuts down at midnight tomorrow. And you can watch all of that on Peacock. As Peacock and Sky are going to be Peacock's going to be simulcasting Sky's deadline day coverage, and we'll keep an eye on all of that as well. I mean, it was good to see. It was good to see Miles out there, and Miles paired with Juanjo Purata. And once again, it's great to see Miles out there. But since it's the first day at school, you're trying to figure out where your locker is. You're trying to figure out where your classes are. You're trying to figure out if any of your buddies are in your classes too. What does homeroom look like? Those kinds of things. And you saw that with the relationship with Brad and with Miles and with Juanjo Purata. It was first day at school. And so I know that a lot of folks are concerned about that. They were after the match on Saturday, but I'm looking at it is they're trying to figure out who's going where and how someone's going to react. It's going to take time. It was just the first. It was just the first match of the friendlies here in the winter as you get ready for the season, which is 25 days away. And AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo is coming at us in 17 days on the 15th at Mercedes-Benz. So it's the time that you'll be spending with each other in Mexico going up against Atlante and Cruz Azul will help out in this process. So will AmFam 2 to get you ready for the season. So I'm just looking at it as first day of school. You get to try to learn everybody else around you, who's going to fit where and who's going to work where. And so, but more importantly, it was good to see Brad out there for 45 minutes. Good to see Miles out there for 45 minutes and working at the back. And so that's just me, Jared, coming out of the first match in Chattanooga.
You want to get all the kinks out. You're looking at it as well. It's this, I think it reminded me of like Brad's giveaway where like I don't know, I can't tell what happened. Like the ball just took a weird hop on him when he tried to like corral that ball.
I think I remember as he was trying to reach back to his left, he couldn't quite.
Yeah, that thing took I don't know, man. Like it just like you're like, man, just let it go out, take a corner.
Yeah,
and maybe it's one of those things where in a game you would in a real game maybe you don't do it the same way. I don't know, man. Brad's pretty all or nothing about stuff. He works his tail off, and when he commits, the thing I never worry about Brad Guzan is like getting caught between ideas. It doesn't happen very often. He generally, once he decides he's going to do something, he generally does it.
Yeah.
And he does it all the way, for better or worse.
Yeah.
But that reminded me of like 2017, if you all remember the Carolina Challenge Cup where Alec Can took a drop kick off of somebody's back and it rolled back into the goal.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, well, I guess he did it in preseason, so that's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather you do it now than in the season.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got that, and it was good to see. It was good to see everybody out there. It was good to see Miles and Brad coming back from injury. And I know that a lot of you got comments and a lot of you got conversation on the Twitch pitch, which is fantastic this morning. Keep that going. We'll go through that in hour number 2. Also in hour number 2, we've got gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Who could be going where? Who is going where? It looks like Joao Cancelo is leaving Manchester City. So we'll get into ingress and egress in hour number 2 as well, since we mentioned the MLS announcer stuff. What was the term that you had? Announcerments. Yeah. So we went through the announcerments in hour number 1, and apparently, according to who was it? Was it Nix who said that Elise looks like he's heading to that Elise is heading to Brest, and then yes. Nix decided to have a giggle about the location.
Why wouldn't you? Of course he did.
He's going to Brest.
Yeah. He had to giggle because he should.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. Because we're all children.
Yes.
We've always been children.
Yes, we have. All right. So we got thoughts on Royal Rumble. We've got thoughts on apparently Graham Arnold now staying as the head coach of the Socceroos, which Bama is fired up about. New contract runs till the end of the next World Cup. Let's see. Will on Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. WWE can't do long-term NJPW-like storytelling, but with Zayn, they almost have it perfect. Just finish it right, no doubt. So, yeah, it does make you wonder if they're going to DQ Cody and give it to Sammy and have Cody go in a different direction. Knicks haven't watched wrestling since the 80s. And by the way, you can go on they're on social media, folks. On this day, there are a lot of no context folks on Instagram, and they will run today in WCW, NWA, Georgia Championship Wrestling history, those kinds of things. And you can also go on YouTube and go down a rabbit hole and never come back. So I'm right there with you, Nick. Yes, regional wrestling for the win, no question. And long-term booking for New Japan. Long story teases someone to win a title. Okada winning in the end always. Okada is a freak, by the way. And yes, always support your local indie. Coco, we're getting close to GG. Perhaps next couple of days. So maybe by the time the team travels down to Mexico. So, I don't think there are a lot of holes in the roster. I think obviously we know what needs
there's spots you want to improve.
Yeah, there's spots you want to improve. And so I think that's where obviously you've got to look at striker and see what's going on there. I know that in the timeline it was mentioned about Ola Kamara. If you bring in someone like GG, then you bring in Ola Kamara, that turns it into very interesting. And then you bring in Luis Abram, that gives you another individual at the back, unless someone else like Noah Cobb is worthy of first-team minutes. And we'll continue to see if that continues to grow. Sean's in Seattle. I don't know, Sean, if you're playing golf or not. Did you take your clubs, and how are you shooting? So it's always a question for Sean that I feel like I need to ask. Coco wants to know if you can get the Wrexham boys over to MLS. The finances here are significantly more. Yeah, and that's why you do something like that. I mean, you ask Coco, you ask Bill Foley. I don't know if you saw this interview. But when Bill Foley was interviewed when he picked up Bournemouth, he was asked, why did you pick up Bournemouth instead of MLS? And Bill Foley frankly said, look, I can come here and get Bournemouth for $150 million. If I did something in Major League Soccer, it would cost me $800. And so simply he was looking at it from the sense, I mean, he was looking at it strictly financial. But what you're doing is you're also buying into the Premier League. So Bill Foley did not make his money by being a silly businessman. But the same would apply for Wrexham, where you can, if you're Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, you can invest a couple $1 million in a team. And this is a team that has needed help everywhere, infrastructure forward. I mean, if you watched the match yesterday, you saw that the cop that had been condemned to camera right, that end zone, was finally torn down. It had been condemned for years. And that's why they only had 9,000, just under 10,000 available seats, is because that cop finally was condemned and torn down. They've had to battle everything from infrastructure forward. And so, do you want to drop a couple million? Do you want to drop 10 million to try to sit there and make it 10 years into the Premier League, which is what Ryan Reynolds thought that could be humanly possible? That's a boatload of investment that's got to happen. Would you want to do that, or would you want to do it $800 million and drop in something shiny and new? That's the question. Yeah, the finances are slightly different. And Ricky, that's the thing. And Jarrett, this is, the MLS Wrexham debate's widely irritating because I like both, and that's fine. And that should be the way that this goes. Appreciate Wrexham for what Reynolds and McElhenney have done and what they are doing, and as they understand what it means to these communities. Let them have their fun. Let them build. And if it just so happens that your angel, to use a Broadway term, or your angels, just happen to be folks who know how to market, know how to document, know how to put TV series and movies together, and it comes out as a desirable product that we can watch on demand and want to go and buy Wrexham gear that you can never buy because it's always sold out. And reminder, if you're going to buy stuff overseas, always go up at least 2 sizes. The further away from Europe you go, the more X's you need to add. So if you're an XL, get a 3 because it'll shrink. And you've seen the stuff that I've had imported. That's after being washed. But literally, add 2 X's to whatever you want when you're going Europe. Further away from Europe you go, the more X's you need to use. That's your public service for today. So, but yeah, enjoy them both. There's no need to ish on one just because it's over an ocean and you're seeing it. I mean, and ESPN isn't dumb either. they're not dumb either. They understand a product for what it is. They understand the viewing habits. They understand the curiosity, and they're going to hop on it, as they should. I want to know what the numbers are going to be. I really want to know what the numbers are going to be for this match. I want to know if there's any kind of a streaming element where you can sit there and see, okay, here's how many folks watched. I want to know what the metrics are for this one, because if they continue to grow, Jarrett, you're going to continue to see that that replay at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. That's going to get the same kind of treatment that it got for the home match yesterday.
Yeah, and I think it was Sebastian Salazar's thing about like ESPN doesn't care about soccer. No, we know you care about soccer. It's that a lot of us felt like ESPN didn't care about MLS, even though they had the rights to it. Don't change the conversation and be dishonest about it.
Mm-hmm.
We know you care about soccer. ESPN does a good job of covering. They've done a great job of covering Wrexham. It's been beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a really good job of covering the European game, of covering the World Cup when they had it, of covering the Euro back in the day when they had it. Like, they've done that part really well. It's the feeling that at times they absolutely dropped the ball in MLS, especially when they had the rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
So no, don't tell me that. Don't play this dishonest BS game where you're going to pretend like you're getting one over on people and you're making the joke and high fiving your buddies. No, that's not the problem. The problem is the way you treated MLS when you had it. Now you don't anymore. If you choose not to, that's whatever.
Yes.
That's your prerogative. But don't sit here and tell me you did that. You did a great job with MLS. You're doing a brilliant job with Wrexham. You're doing a brilliant job with the products that you have. It is an infinitely better life we have as degenerates who watch these leagues all over the world, that I can pull them up early on a Saturday morning and watch Italy. I can watch, the lower divisions of England. I absolutely love all of that.
Yep.
Just be honest about it, man.
Yes.
As for everyone's question, as in midfield, it's becoming a question now. Yeah, Zetsu is on the clock for this, guys. For me, Emerson Hyndman was, if you've just crawled out of a hole, Emerson Hyndman was mutually parted ways with Atlanta United, which I was a big Emerson Hyndman fan. But as we said before, talked about it with Bart, you don't make a roster on the training table.
Nope.
And he spent a lot of time on the training table. I think there's a ton of pressure on Masaya Sasetsu to be that guy. Mm-hmm. You want somebody to watch who might get minutes with the second team, but might also be making the bench with the first team. Is a Johnny Fortune?
Yes.
Johnny Fortune can play that midfield spot and could be very good. He is on a homegrown deal. Mm-hmm. And Gonzalo Pineda has never been afraid to play the kids. And if you're not getting the productivity you want out of Hasetsu, I don't know, man. Maybe you play the kids for a while and see what happens. I don't know how you mix it up. That's the spot I think I would like to see them potentially improve. We don't know what the summer's going to look like. It's too early to start that conversation, because what you might end up with, is, I don't know what you're going to get out of Ozzy Alonso, because he is a legend. He's also older and coming off of a blown ACL.
Right.
It's tough to sit here and, it's tough, I think, to predict what he's going to be. Santiago Sosa is the one I'm confident with. Thiago Almada's amazing, but, Almada, is he going to be here through the summer?
Yep.
Because if he plays this year like he did, especially in the second half of last year, somebody's going to come giving you money for him, and you're going to have to fix that spot and bring in somebody to be a really good number 10. That's going to be tough. But that central midfield spot is going to be the big one to watch for sure.
Yeah. And you will be able to afford it. Trust me. You'll be able to bring in an individual.
You will be, but you're going to have to hit on it.
Yes.
Because you can't miss on it.
Nope.
I mean, not that anyone can ever miss, but you have a lot of pressure on this season. You have a lot of pressure on guys this season. You're going to have to get that right. And it's going to be the first test of this administration. I remember Garth Lagerwey operating in a higher role than he did in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Not as a technical director. Carlos Bocanegra still has that title. And Garth Lagerwey has final say on things. That'll be one of those first big tests. I mean, assuming you don't consider Yakumakis to be a big test of bringing in that striker, which I'm going to get this out of the way for y'all now. Y'all want to guess what number Yakumakis wore at Celtic?
Yeah. I believe it was this one.
I mean, it was the number Mike Vick wore. It's the number Young Wei Koo wears.
Yes.
I don't know how they're going to deal with that. I really don't.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if they're going to give him a different number or if he's going to want that. Because
you could
it might be a little too soon for some people to see someone else wearing the number 7 playing striker.
You could do the Ray Bork Phil Esposito thing.
Yeah, Ricky, you request your number 9. I want to wear 7. No, I'm going to put you in number 9, and I'm helping you.
Well, I mean, and then, what Ray Bork did when he started his career in Boston, Phil Esposito wore the number 7, and they gave Bork 7. And then Bork, at a game when they retired when they retired his sweater and put his number in the rafters, they retired his sweater, but Espo gave Bork express permission to keep wearing the number. At the retirement ceremony, Bork was wearing his 7, but then he shakes hands with Esposito, takes the 7 sweater off, and he's wearing 77. That's where Bork's 77 started, was at the retirement ceremony for Espo. So do we get one of those where Yakumakis comes out wearing 77 instead? Something like that. I'm just saying.
Oh, man. This is just you're going to give him 7, man. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yakumakis scores at a clip, but, buddy, it's a challenge. That's going to be very interesting.
And if he
I'm telling you, by the way, please, for the love of God, go see if they'll give you David Turnbull for $2 million while you're at it, while you're over there.
Yeah,
he'll play. He'll be that. He is an 8 in a similar, not exact role to what you had from Emerson Hyndman. But David Turnbull at least can stay healthy.
Yeah,
you want another midfielder for TAM money? just go grab him out of Celtic too.
There you go.
But ultimately that midfield is going to be where all my questions lie, because I like that you picked up Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
I think Araujo, if you're taking the pressure, I think taking the pressure off of him this year, if you can do that, which him taking the 10 shirt just adds more pressure, so maybe he doesn't want the pressure off. I don't know. I think you potentially can take. I think he can be that guy you need him to be. He can. Will he be? I don't know. I think he has the ability and has the mindset to do it. He just has to actually do it. Those two are very different things. Jago Amada's an amazing 10. If it's Yakumakis, it's high expectations for him, because you're bringing him in as a DP striker to continue what he's been doing. If you're bringing in another defender to pair with Miles, Juanjo Prata and Noah Cobb is pretty good backup. I think your ace is in the fullback lines. I know that Brooks Lennon is a very 9s and 1s for a lot of people, but he does the defensive work well, in my opinion, and can pump in crosses when he needs to. And then Andrew Gutman's outstanding. Caleb Wiley is an absolute monster in the making. Mm-hmm. I think you're fine in those positions, and then you've got down the road, you've got 3 veteran goalkeepers. I'm assuming Justin Garces plays with the 2s this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and I think that when you brought in Clement Diop, it is those 3. It is it's Brad, it's Westberg, it's Diop. But once again, what you've done is given yourself cover with all of the competitions that you're going to be in this year. And you have someone like Westberg, who's given Atlanta fits in the past. You have someone like Diop, who gave Atlanta fit when he was at CF Montreal. And Jared has wandered away. So you've given yourself cover because of all these competitions that you have here in 2022. So I completely understand that as well. We'll go through your thoughts. And we'll go through everything that's on your mind here on a Monday. We've got gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid for today and tomorrow, and the window and all that kind of stuff. So great that you guys are also having conversations amongst each other in the Twitch pitch. I love when that happens. every single day. Also, on the board, it is top of the hour. So that means one thing, and one thing only. It means that it's time to read a promo. So we have to take the music out of loop. We have to take the music all the way down to like 12 because apparently even 15 is too loud. And you hit rock, and we read. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonized service. QR code over my left shoulder. For those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. If you're going to customize solutions for Lemonized. All organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonized service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment. We like that these days. Very green way of going about things to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that you have either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard and bring out said masking agent, there's a reason they call it a masking agent. You spray it in the air, all it does is mask the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Lemonized Service do on a daily basis. Proven scientific formula, price that's affordable for you. One of two ways to go about pricing, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. You have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is their website. This is where I grab my pen. ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta. Do us a favor. Do the /Atlanta after you do the .com so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from so they can help you with your issues. Lemonize.com/Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Lemonized Service, proud sponsors of everything here at SDH in 2023 on a Reaction Monday, over, under, or on par as we go through the weekend and the 3-3 draw with Chattanooga FC up at Fort Finley on the weekend. Once again, over 7,000 of you there. Great to see the 17s there. I was trying to, and I admit that it's a little difficult to run in loafers, especially ones that are new. And I went sprinting past Abby trying to get down to the post-game position. And she's like, "Hi, John. Bye, John." Literally, it's like I go one way, I see her. I go the other way, I see her. I high-five her, and I had to head to post-game. So it was great to see all of the 17s that were there. Great to see all the pictures that you guys took and got to hang out with everybody. Saw photos with Gonzalo and Juanjo Purata and Miles and everybody. So it was great to see all the photos that you guys took. Great to see that you guys made the even though it's a 1.5-hour drive, it's a 2.5-hour trek because of the mountain passes. When you get to Battlefield Parkway and such, and then you make the left-hand turn to 24 and 75 and then all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, 2.5-hour trek on a 1.5-hour drive. Great to see everybody up there at Fort Finley. Team is going to continue working out before they head to Mexico. Atlante and Cruz Azul next on the board for Atlanta United when they hit the road and get ready for AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo on the 15th and your season opener on the 25th. In hour number one, we went through the announcements that Apple and our friends at Apple laid out for the announce assignments. Jonathan Tannenwald this morning on the Twitters was doing math. And by his estimation, here's what's left on the board. With the plan, according to Apple TV, 14 English game crews, 14 Spanish game crews, 3 French game crews, 2 English play-by-play positions available with an analyst, 8 Spanish crews left available, 1 French crew left available. So that's what you're staring at. Other news out of the NPSL, Haley Carter is now named the new general manager for the Purple Club in the NWSL. Very, very cool stuff there with Haley as well. So a lot of stuff to get into here in hour number 2. Also on your thoughts, like I said, we talked about announcements. We've talked about Wrexham. And like I said, I'm going to blow through the comments. And like I said, thanks that you guys are going back and forth with your assessments of what you saw on Saturday in Chattanooga. And we'll go through all of that conversation as well. Yeah, Coco, Wrexham's cool. MLS is cool. 2 sentences are mutually exclusive. Bang on. Nottingham Forest going after Brenner. Maybe Brenner is the one they think they can afford, and that's the one that Pat Noonan they want to dispose of right now. So we'll see. Yeah, Knicks. It was funny that McElhinney was watching at the tailgate for your NFC champions, and then the moment where Ryan Reynolds calls him and he's holding up the phone to everybody singing. I thought that was magic. Yeah, and Amelia, and that's the thing is it's a nice story. If it's your bag, fine. If it's not, then let it be. Yeah, just coexist. Bottom line, and just let it happen. If you're a fan of MLS and you don't care about the game in England, that's perfectly fine. Just don't sit there and ish on it just because you can. Everything's cool. Wrexham exists in its own bubble. It's a good story. MLS exists in its own bubble. Watch it grow and be a part of it, since that's what we're closer to. Coco, yes. CMC's chance to run the triple option. Shanahan's scared. Kittle at the A back. Okay. As much as I would want use check at the A back, because that's what he's used to. Yeah, and McElhinney said since COVID, Wrexham coming to Philly for a friendly versus the Union just keeps getting postponed. Can't wait for that. Yeah, Nick's, like I said, you weren't the only one. Jackson in the first half was trying to get work done in the middle, and it was very, very quiet from Jackson Conway. So we'll see. Sean, we have today and tomorrow until midnight Eastern time for the European window. There are other mechanisms and other places you can get players from. It's just that dealing with the leagues themselves in transfers. That's tomorrow at midnight. So, keep an eye on that. Westberg for opening day starter. If Brad isn't ready, if something's wrong, then it may be. But once again, we talked about it before the top of the hour. Because of all these competitions, you need to have more than one. If you took the lesson from the 49ers yesterday, there should have been a third quarterback that was ready for the system, instead of having to go to a dinged up Brock Purdy or a Christian McCaffrey. That's your lesson for these situations. For a situation where something may happen during the week, then you need that third. And right now, Atlanta United has Brad Gazan, Quentin Westberg, Clement Diop, Justin Garces, Vicente Reyes. So that's where you are with Atlanta United. MLS Next Pro is fine. You've got 3 up top because you've got Leagues Cup, you've got MLS, you've got Open Cup. You've got like 50 matches to prepare for. So we'll see. If Sean, when I was flashing rosters and things, I know it is kind of like my tax returns, but it's a way for me to sit there and differentiate, because I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. When you find out that it's going to be 2 separate 11s, you could do all the prepping in the world. And the easiest thing to do in that situation is to just kind of lay it out for yourself, where I'll give you the Atlanta United roster here for those watching on Twitch. You see in pink, that was the first half. Orange is the second half with notes on either side. So, just making sure that you're prepared for either way. And it's just easier in a situation like this to sit there and have your Chattanooga roster and your Atlanta roster either next to each other or back to back. And literally how you do it is whoever's on offense, for me, it's pages up for that team. You're looking down, seeing who's on offense. And then when possession changes, you flip it over. You flip it over and mention who's on offense. So, yeah, that's how it was. It was learning on the fly with these guys. But it was a fun exercise. I'm glad that Lucas Panzica and I got to call it. We'll have Lucas on when Nashville becomes topics of conversation. He works at 105 The Zone, 104.5 The Zone up in Nashville. And we'll have Lucas drop by and talk about everything going on with Nashville when the season gets up and rolling. So it's good to catch up with him. Knicks, I would have thought that I don't know what the situation was when it came to concessions, but I would have thought that I thought that they might have wanted to put you in the sunshine, or at least open up the lower bowl all the way around, because you had all those folks who were sitting on the berm, could have had them in the sunshine, could have had a lot of you in the sunshine. So that was just, that's me thinking. KFC, great pressure from Luis Araujo on the third goal, and that's once again one of the tenets that we look at for Gonzalo Pineda's pressure to try to regain possession of the ball. And you saw that with the third goal, the offensive pressure that you saw from Gutman and Machop Chol down the left-hand side. Gutman created the penalty by going into the 18, drawing two defenders, getting knocked off his feet. You get the penalty call from Nima Sagafi. And I give Nima Sagafi a lot of credit, too, because it was a preseason friendly. And, it's like there are talking twos, and then Ronald Hernandez got the yellow in the second half. But no, it's like under normal circumstances, I'm sure Nima Sagafi would have said, yeah, that's a card, that's a card, that's a card. Take it easy. But Nima read the room really well. I gave him a lot of credit for just, it's like, chill. It's okay. It's the first match of the year. Under normal circumstances, I'd be doing this, but just understand, I'm going to talk to you today. Be different tomorrow. But Nima Sagafi ran a nice match in a preseason friendly. Okay, Nick's nothing about our offense or defense in either half made you feel good against a much lower level. Like I said, Nick's the way that I would look at it is, and we talked about it in hour number one. For me, it's first day of school, and you're trying to get, especially your two center backs that you had starting in your keeper, two of whom were out last season with Achilles injuries, with the new guy, trying to figure out where things are. And if that's going to be your starting 11, like I said, you've got to get that symbiosis figured out over time. But it was good to see Miles out there. Good to see Brad out there for 45 minutes. KFC, Alan Carlton played a sick through ball. Brennan was excellent again. Yep. So, yeah, like I said, the younger kids in the second 45, a lot of them had that symbiotic relationship, and they knew where everybody was going because of the time they spent together with the twos. But, looking forward to seeing Luke Brennan continue to improve. Looking forward to seeing Noah Cobb continue to improve. Johnny Fortune, him as well. So looking for that. But yeah, and Knicks, yeah, I mean, if CFC mistakes, it's from the pressure that was created by Atlanta United. So that's how they got the first goal and the third goal. The second goal was from Atlanta on offense. So yeah, and so like I said, it's early. It's your first match. And yes, I know you're going up against a team from NISA who got called in 3 weeks early, but they weren't going to adjust. They were going to, and Rod Underwood said this going into the match, that he was going to adjust. He was not going to adjust to what Atlanta United was going to do. It's like, we're going to do our thing. We're gonna go up there. We're gonna play. We're gonna pressure. We're gonna do our style because we got to work on us. It doesn't do us any good if we're Chattanooga FC to sit there and try to work against what Atlanta United is going to do. We're going to work on us because we got stuff to do. And he wasn't looking at tape. He's not looking at anything like that. He's just going to put his guys out there in the best situation possible, and then work toward a solution. And it turned out that they got 3 goals in the first half, 1 from McGrath and 2 from Nagelstad. And we mentioned Damian Rodriguez. Wouldn't surprise me if a guy like Nagelstad got some looks, and maybe McGrath gets some looks as well from other teams in other leagues because of what you saw in the match in Chattanooga, if it continues to grow and evolve the way that Underwood is hoping in Chattanooga. So there's plenty of folks to be looked at for Chattanooga FC, and especially putting up the numbers that they did in that first 45 against Atlanta United. Damian Rodriguez especially. Emilio, the kindergarten kids look more fluid. Yeah, I mean, well, when you play all the time that you did together with Atlanta United too, it's understandable because let's look at the roster. Let's look at that second 45. Look at that second 45. Cobb, McFadden, Carlton, Firmino, Brennan, Mejia, Sabatu. That's all from Atlanta United 2. That's all Atlanta United 2 in the second 45. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys of your 11, 7 of your 10 position players, 7 of your 11 that were out there, because Quentin Westberg was in that. 7 of your 10 position players spent time with the twos last year. And yeah, and because of that relationship, I would hope that they had looked more fluid, and they did. The Carlton and Brennan down the right-hand side with Ronald Hernandez there in the Brooks Lennon position, in the right back position, helping feed everything either down the right wing or into the 18. Yeah, I mean that's what you anticipate in a situation like that. I liked what we got from Tyler Young. 3 chances, I think, for Tyler, if memory serves. The number 36 overall pick out of Campbell. It's good to see him. But once again, timing off just a step here or there, because there were a couple of chances that were balls that were centered into the 6, and Young was just like a step behind where he needed to be as he tried to slam it into the back of the net. So, yeah, I mean, 7 of the 10 position players, 7 of the 11 overall were kindergarten kids. So, understandable that they might look more fluid. Emilio, you're talking about Hisechu. Jarrett was talking about that in hour number 1. Uncle, is Etienne expected to start at the beginning of the season? I would think so. Wasn't expecting to hear about a knock in his last Columbus match. Would hope anything would have been caught prior to bringing him in, and it was. I mean, they did due diligence, but if you're in a rehabilitation situation, sometimes you could be doing your best in rehab and then just take a step back. I mean, independent of what happened in that last match with Columbus, we all wake up in the morning, and sometimes it doesn't matter what we did the day before. Sometimes the body doesn't respond. So, like I said, I'm looking at Etienne as well as another element where it's being precautious. First match of the preseason, same with Mosqueda, same with Almada, same with Etienne. So I would take that and just put it over here to the side. Let them grow and let them grow into training camp, get past the knocks and things like that. Just it's first match of the preseason. Everything should be cool. All right. Eric Lopez, Sam is still loaned out. Eric Lopez still loaned out. Thank you, Niall. Michael, when you came in at 20-10, nothing wrong with trying to be restrained. But, like I said, first day at school. That's how I'm looking at it. Because, once again, you're looking at your 2 center backs and your keeper who are trying to learn each other, 2 of them coming back from Achilles injuries. So they're still trying to learn. You have Miles and Purata still trying to learn each other, and Brad trying to learn about Purata as well. So, I mean, I get it. I understand it. And then we talked about the Damian Rodriguez goal where you had 2 defenders collapse. The help wasn't there behind. Like I said, it's all about communication and the symbiotic relationships of trying to figure out who goes where and when it happens, who steps, who helps, those kinds of things. Like I said, I look at it as first steps in the preseason, first time in game state. Niall, we were mentioning about veteran strikers, and Ricky Ricardo mentions Ola Kamara. And CJ Sapong was in the Sam Williamson camp. Niall, Jorge Castillo, agreement reached. Not sure you would trust the Twitter profile. Once again, we always remind, check your sources. Yeah, and and Nix and Michael Gonzalo Pineda said after the match he was not happy with the defense. He was the first person to sit there and say he wasn't happy with the defense, and that's what you want. You want stuff to work on. You don't want, as much as you want it to be perfect. If it was perfect, if you're a good coach, you sit there and it's like, okay, I'm still not happy with X, Y, or Z. And yeah, so Gonzalo Pineda said after the match, yeah, we're working on the defense. I was not happy with it. And so that'll be what you're one of the first things looking at going forward coming into this week of practice. Knicks, really wish Atlanta didn't go off to Mexico for preseason to play actual MLS teams. Ones you'll be playing during the season. Sometimes folks, like they do in Orlando, it just depends. It just depends on how you want to structure things. Do you want to go into warm environments to get ready for play? Those kinds of things. Some teams want to have camps behind closed doors with other MLS sides. Some others play in the Club World Cup and have to go to Portugal and then have to go to the Middle East. And some folks have festivals in Coachella where you have 5 or 6 clubs doing their thing, and some want to go to Mexico to further relationships with other clubs. No, and so it's all about And folks approach it differently, but it's about fostering relationships. And with Atlanta United, if you can go to play Atalante and you can go and play Cruz Azul and you can continue to foster relationships on a global scale, then if that's what you want to do, I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. That's what you want to do. If you want to be a global brand, you're seen on a global scale, and then you sit there and it's like, yeah, we'll have camps together, we'll hang out, but it's also going into warmer climes and getting adjusted so you're not practicing, and you're also pulling yourself out of weather like this. If you're in Atlanta and you've looked outside today where it is just crappy beyond crap, you're going to play in places where it's actually the weather's warm. It's like the free fall episode at Miami Vice. Sonny Crockett goes south where the weather's warm and you don't know the names of the players. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're going south so you can actually practice in decent weather. And since you don't have an indoor facility, it just gives you those other outlets that you can do stuff in. So it's okay. Sean, what is success right now for this roster might be the most underwhelming ever. I don't think it's an underwhelming roster at all, but I know that that Garth has set home playoff game, and that's what you're hunting for. So, and that's what today's all about Reaction Monday and what you guys are thinking after the first match of the year with Chattanooga FC, a 3-3 draw. I guess I'm looking at this strictly as the first match. Continue to learn in training camp and hit the ground running with AmFam 2 and hit it even harder when you get to the first game of the regular season against San Jose. Let it build. It's okay. Let it build. I know that Sean, you and Michael and Jason Nix have been having a conversation about everything going forward this morning. And let's see. Mexican teams, Jason Nix asking what's their incentive and roster strength for these matches. It's the same, because in these matches you will see probably first team 45. I mean, think of it like the Chattanooga match is probably the best way I can describe it, is that you're going to have, depending on where these teams are in their season, and right now Cruz Azul is in the Clausura, you might have players that starting lineup for the first 30, and then you'll have a lot of triple-digit players for the final 60. So it's just, like I said, it's the opportunity to play these teams in warmer climes so you can be more acclimated instead of having to fight Mother Nature in 40-degree weather. It's a part of it in addition to being exposed globally. So, lower division club might give you first 45 of their starting 11, and then second 45 might be a different 11. But for Cruz Azul, might be a little less than that. You'll probably see a lot of triple-digit guys when it comes to the match in Cruz Azul. Will's not comfortable where the roster's at, missed the playoffs, have to look around, think that something's broken. You saw the transactions in the offseason. Now it's about bringing in the players that they think will fill in the appropriate needs for Marcelino Moreno, Emerson Hyndman, Alan Franco, all of that activity. So all the folks that are out, you got to fill them with folks that you either have on hand or bring in. So once again, it's they're still building. There's still time. There's still time to build because, like I said, you're less than a month away from the regular season. And remember, I can always bring up the example of Joseph Martinez, who came in just before the season started and integrated, and we saw what happened there. But bringing in players, I'm not comparing the situation of bringing in a Joseph Martinez to what happened. I'm just saying that you can bring in players right up to the beginning of the season, and then they can integrate. So there's still time. Yeah, well, I don't know if there's going to be plenty of cake. Maybe it depends on who has birthdays, Nick. It's not necessarily if it's a vacation, it's a working vacation. I don't see it as of anything non-business like. This is going to be it's a business trip, and so it's a business trip. They're down there to do business. So Rich, to the point, middle of their season, so it's a training exercise for them too. And Niall to Michael, playoffs reasonable goal. It's not the final roster. Also on the board, it is as we get into the discussion. WCW forever. So that was fun that we got to talk about the Royal Rumble. We'll see how they move the plot forward. And Uncle, yeah, there are holes, and we talked about that in hour number one. You're looking at striker, you're looking at a backup, you're looking in the midfield, and you're looking at center back. And that's what you're hoping. If the Yakamakis deal does come through, if Luis Abram does add to the mix, once again, I think that Noah Cobb is probably your fourth center back right now. But if he continues to improve and grow and become more comfortable with the speed of play in Major League Soccer, Noah Cobb might be your three. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, you're looking at striker, midfield, and center back. And I know that a lot of folks were talking about Ozzie Alonso as well. I think the grand plan. Remember last year when Ozzie was brought in, Santi Sosa was supposed to start as your six. Ozzie Alonso was supposed to be that individual where you tap him on the shoulder, 30 minutes to go, and it's like, okay, I need you to give me 20 or 25. Go close this thing out. Bang. But Santi gets hurt. Ozzie has to start. Ozzie gets injured. So the plan, I'm fairly certain, is to go back to what it was supposed to hopefully be in 2021. Santi starts. Ozzie comes in late and shuts the door to have that kind of a presence. I don't think that, and Ozzie might spot start depending on schedule compression, things like that. But I don't think the plan is to have Ozzie start. I think the plan is for Santi to start, Ozzie to come out of the bullpen, shut the door, and start occasionally. I don't think that it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's the other way around. I think it's Santi starts, Ozzie comes out of the bullpen, Ozzie spot starts. That's the plan, I think, in a perfect world. The conversation back and forth with Niall and Michael, very, very cool. No golf, too cold. Oh, it's a work trip. Sorry, Sean. Yeah, and I think, Ricky, that might be. If MLS All Stars and Wrexham right there, if they really want to do that, I think it'd be that's a cool idea. All right, so Niall, want to sell players like, well, Hyman and Campbell, that's fine. Also then have holes to fill, right? But once again, remember, you've got a Johnny Fortune who Gonzalo Pineda is high on in the midfield. You've got Noah Cobb, who we've talked about also. So remember, you got folk, and Caleb Wiley's still a part of this discussion over on the left-hand side too. So, but I mean, for the positions that we're looking at in the midfield, you're looking at a Johnny Fortune. At the back, you're looking at Noah Cobb, and up top, obviously striker, backup striker. Then you bring in Yakamakis. That obviously helps those numbers. And then I know you guys have been asking for either Kamara or Sapong to be that second striker, and then help at the back. So, like I said, it's just all apart, and you still got time. Just because the European window shuts tomorrow at midnight doesn't mean you can't stop dealing. Yeah, and Garth, to your point, Emilio, Garth Lagerwey has been someone who's made moves in the summer window. So even if you don't feel you're 100% right now, or even if you're close to 100% right now by the time the season starts on the 25th of February, Garth Lagerwey's MO has been to do moves in the summer window. So, just keep that in mind as well. Right. And Ricky, thank you for backing me up on that. Let's see. Best example of the Wrexham debate from Rich Ransom is Chattanooga. Their fans will say they have no chance of getting into Major League Soccer. So, Chattanooga has built this identity of their own. I mean, in their NPSL days, to give you an example, when they played New York Cosmos B in the NPSL championship, I want to say they set a record attendance there in the building. I think it was like 19,000. So the fever for Chattanooga FC is there, and and same for the Red Wolves in USL League One. Chattanooga has proved itself to be a great soccer area in the Southeast with the Red Wolves and with Chattanooga FC, and it has proven that you can have two teams in two separate leagues and they can coexist, and fans can go and enjoy the Red Wolves. Fans can go and enjoy Chattanooga FC. So they both can exist. You've seen it in other cities as well. Greenville has had NPSL and USL League One. And it's all about, for me, it's all about rising tides. Once again, show the support for your neighbor. show the support for the other guy, and we all can move forward. So there you go. Also on the board this morning, Ozzie did not play Saturday. Sam, he was not a part of the active roster. So no Ozzie, no Mosqueda, no Almada, and no Etienne Saturday in Chattanooga. Well, I mean, once again, Fox has to be annoyed, Michael Head, that ESPN has the rights to the FA Cup. ESPN's had rights to the FA Cup for a while. It just so happens that it's fallen into the Wrexham story has fallen into their lap, and it's on Fox for not getting for having the FA Cup and then losing it. Because I remember when was it Gus Johnson, Warren Barton, Eric Winalda, and Gus called the Wigan FA Cup final for Fox. And then they decided that they weren't in the event business and let go of the FA Cup. So now that ESPN's got it, and they'll take it as far as they go. And Niall has a point. NBC could do a better job covering MLS compared to ESPN. We've seen the level of investment, and then that's the thing. Could be Paramount Plus too, with what we've seen from Paramount Plus with Serie A, the investment level there, with what they've done with the NWSL, NBC with what they've done with the Premier League. But would you have the amount of resources to devote to it? That's the question. With your current properties, could you also invest in covering Major League Soccer? Would you want to, or do you want to just keep your audience that you have and devote everything to your major property? So that's the key question for any rights holder of a league that is not Major League Soccer. Do you invest in those resources and have it as a part of your programming because you're a place for soccer, or do you just let Apple have it and that's yours and we're going to do ours and there's no crossover? That's the key. Let's see. So you've got Michael asking about Hosetsu. Why was it re-signed on a big number? Once again, it goes back to the thought that Jared had. He's on the clock. So you ask him to do specific things. You want him to be that metronome there in the midfield. And if he's not doing it to your satisfaction, then we'll find out soon enough. But the midfield, different functions for different folks. We know what Thiago Almada can do in the midfield. Ibarra's there to give you that bit of sandpaper to be the passing and be one of those conduits, where Matheus Hosetsu is more of the spoke in the wheel. He's there to see what's going on, to get things moving forward, and to think quickly to do it. So I think that once again, if he's not doing it, and as Jarrett says, I think that Hosetsu's on the clock. If he's not doing it to the satisfaction of Gonzalo Pineda and everyone else, then we'll certainly find that out sooner rather than later. But no, it's the midfield has its own distinct personalities. And Hosetsu, to me, is the spoke in the wheel, where you have Ibarra with sandpaper and you have Almada with artistry. And so it's just different ways of going about it, different personalities there in the midfield. But if Hosetsu is not giving you what you're looking for, then we'll know. No, and I don't think no, Nix, Ozzie was not there. But I don't think you're relying on him like you did last year. I think the only reason you were relying on him was because Sosa was injured. And so going forward, like I said, Sosa's your one. Ozzie comes out of the bullpen. Ozzie comes in other competitions to start and things like that, schedule compression. Ozzie's there for guidance, and he's there to come out of the bullpen. I don't think he's there to start. It was out of necessity that happened last year. And no, I don't think Ozzie should be viewed as a savior, Michael. I really don't. Just as a part of the equation, the experience part of the equation to help everyone, and with that other coaching voice that'll be out there in the final 30 minutes to make sure that you can bring something home. Also, let's see, more on Giakoumakis. Great conversation that you guys are having involving Giakoumakis and being patient. Niall, I agree. Brooks Lennon does not get the credit that he deserves. Absolutely not. I completely, totally agree. Sam Williamson bringing in Pedro de la Vega's name. Also on the board. Alex took a pic. Wife took a pic with Juanjo Purata, and I go, "You right? Yeah, okay." But like I said, that's just that. Once again, glad that you guys got to have the fun with the guys after the team as well. Jason has not been announced as part of the announcements for Apple MLS, but yes, he'll still be on. And this is the key for the local for your teams in Major League Soccer. He and Mike will be on 92.9. That we know. And remember, they did the game in Chattanooga as part of their kickoff as well. If you sign up for Season Pass with Apple for MLS, there is the local radio option. You can do this. You can have the option to listen to local radio as a part of watching Atlanta United games on the MLS Apple TV Plus package. You will have the local radio option all the way through. So you can watch the game, but you can have Mike and Jason. And that's cool. So yes. So you can click an option, click a button, and you can listen to Mike and Jason. Yes, OG, we've been talking about Juanjo Purata a lot and how photogenic he is. I don't know if it's really reasonable to retire a number only 6 years into a club's existence. Don't know. I mean, I don't think you. I mean, you might retire a jersey. I don't think you would retire a number. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, Aiden McFadden in the second half, walking to the locker room, moving pretty gingerly. Yeah, it was when he had been, especially late in the match, he had been knocked down a couple times. And it was pretty physical out there for him on the left-hand side in the final, especially in the final 15 minutes, in that 45 that he was out there. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on McFadden. Also on the board this morning, Tafka. I think we can all agree Kevin was a must-have inclusion to the broadcast team. Glad he's coming into the fold as a part of the announcements this morning. Yes. And that Kevin also, Kevin's going to have a busy schedule, and it was a busy schedule at the end of the year with Atlanta United, with Mo and Jillian, because he's having to balance his World Wrestling Entertainment duties and travel plans with Major League Soccer. And I'm glad that the folks in Stamford, Connecticut, continue to let Kevin do these other kinds of things. And so I imagine some of Kevin's weekends might be really busy. Especially when it comes to pay-per-views. But yeah, Kevin was probably going to be getting a lot of Friday night flights and Saturdays and flying into markets on Sundays. So we'll see. But no, it's very cool to see Kevin included in that with Mark Followill and Callum Williams from Minnesota United. But yeah, there's still one more crew, three more English-speaking names that should be added from Jonathan Tannenwald's math. So we'll see. But very, very cool that Kevin Egan was included. Also, OG team cohesion of the two is very apparent, except no finishing, zero cohesion with the starters. Had to be frustrating. Yeah, and like I said, for me, I'm taking it as first game state. Learn from it, go forward. That's what I'm looking at. And also the discussion from the OG about Garth manages expectations at least one season to get the dead weight off the books and bring in other players. So Sam, are you calling Yakamakis G baby, or just call him GG, something like that? Yakamakis. Caleb I think was with the U20s. He and Tyler Wolf are with the U20s. And you got Tyler Wolf that's a part of the discussion as well. Does he integrate? Caleb Wiley, once again. Sam says summer's a better market. Off-season for most teams across the pond. You're not losing players during the middle of the season. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then we got into so Sam, just go GG. Just go GG, Sam. Just do it that way. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning. And there is a lot of it. And let me see. Where should I start? We'll start with what's on the shorter device, and we will go forward. All right. So Chelsea now has put together a bid for Enzo Fernandez worth 105 million pounds. So we'll keep an eye on that. Cristiano Ronaldo, CR37, is yet to score a competitive goal in his time at Al Nasser. Ornstein on a Monday, some of his highlights. Spurs move for Pedro Porro is off after Sporting Lisbon reneged on the terms of the deal. Set to join Spurs left distraught after Sporting president Frederico Varandas told him he'd be allowed to leave following Saturday's Portuguese League Cup final. Set to miss out on the switch despite reaching an advanced stage in Sporting, lining up Barca's Hector Bellerin as a replacement. Performance of Porro for Sporting rewarded with an international debut for Spain in March of 2021. 3 goals, 11 assists in 25 matches in all comps. We mentioned the Enzo Fernandez discussions. Arsenal feels like they have to sign a midfielder in the next 2 days, steadfast in their determination it will not be Moises Caicedo. Arsenal's £60 million bid turned down, increased to 65 plus 5 in add-ons. That got turned down. And so that's on the board. Central midfielder Nauru Ahamada set to have a medical at Crystal Palace after the club agreed to a €12 million deal with Stuttgart, a little over $13 million US. 20-year-old France under-17 links up with Patrick Vieira. Savvy deal, according to Ornstein, for a player who's expected to generate huge interest in the summer. Everton also sure to be active in the last hours, buoyed by the $40 million they received from Newcastle for Anthony Gordon. They're chasing after Rennes winger Kamaldeen Suleimana. Everton made a verbal offer Sunday, waiting for a response from Rennes, who want in the region of €30 million to get it done. Southampton, trying to bring in a forward, had a €20 million bid rejected, remain keen to recruit the 20-year-old Ghanaian international as well, meaning Suleimana. Bournemouth showed interest as well under contract until 2026. Everton also among clubs keen to sign Anthony Elanga from Manchester United on loan, the 20-year-old looking for more minutes. United relatively low on attacking options. Probability Elanga stays at Old Trafford until the summer, along with Facundo Pellistri, who Erik ten Hag indicated last week would not be allowed to leave on loan. Deal's been agreed with Cardiff for striker Gabriel Biancheri. 16-year-old Wales under 17 on international, qualifies to represent England and Italy, completed a medical over the weekend, set to join United, signing a scholar contract for Manchester United, then a long-term professional deal when he turns 17 in September. So Chelsea's looking to plug a £60 million sponsorship gap. The shirt sponsor 3, the telecommunications firm, sees its 3-year arrangement with Chelsea expire this summer. Sleeve sponsor Whalefin, the cryptocurrency group, also set to exit a lucrative 5-year deal after just 12 months. Who knew about crypto? 2 sponsors thought to be worth a combined £60 million a year to Chelsea. Replacement partners have not been found by a club that spent over £400 million in transfers. So Chelsea chasing after sponsors. Tottenham are not paying a fee to sign Chelsea's highly rated academy striker June Soonsup Bell, according to Simon Johnson. Athletic reported earlier this month the 19-year-old was going to leave Chelsea in January, 5 months before his contract expired, with a number of clubs in England and Europe trying to sign him. Soonsup Bell was set to have a medical on Monday to finalize his move to North London. No money will be exchanged. Chelsea will have installed a significant sell-on clause, personal terms already agreed to, on the multi-year deal. Southampton looking for a new training base. Derby and Wayne Rooney have moved on. And so Derby City Council's quietly abandoned the plans. Councilors announced plans to honor Wayne Rooney for his efforts in trying to save Derby County from relegation. Derby's fan base at the time, one of the councilors said, loyalty in football is hard to come by these days. Rooney resigned after a month. McBarker proved difficult to maintain the contract. Time has now passed, so it looks like they won't be honoring Wayne Rooney after all. So Chris Rigg, and this is an interesting story also. Breaking news from Alex. Egan will not be joining Apple TV Plus. Chelsea's hijacked the move. There you go. 15-year-old midfielder could not buy a Sunderland junior shirt with a gambling sponsor, but he was able to play for the first team with branding on his chest in the FA Cup, according to Dan Sheldon. Sunderland signed a 3-year deal with SpreadX, a betting and financial trading company established in 1999. So, yeah, so if you're 15, you can wear a jersey if you're playing, but you can't do it with yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So there's that. All right. So that's from Ornstein on a Monday. There's a lot of stuff there as well. All right. So let's get into today's gossip. Once again, we mentioned Enzo Fernandez. Fernandez would prefer to leave in January. Hopes Benfica president Rui Costa will accept the Blues' offer. We mentioned the rejection of the Moises Caicedo offer from Arsenal to Brighton. Spurs submitted a 25 million euro verbal offer to Bayer Leverkusen for the transfer of Ecuadorian center back Piero Hincapié. That's in Bild. Nottingham Forest, in addition to chasing Brenner, they're on the verge of signing Jonjo Shelvey. Beat 2-3-4. Barcelona keeping tabs on Joao Felix, currently on loan at Chelsea. I think Joao Felix just picked up another red card. Just saying. Inter Milan have lined up Victor Lindelof as a replacement for Milan Skriniar if the Slovakian defender moves to PSG. Spurs working on a deal to sign Birmingham City's 17-year-old English midfielder Jobe Bellingham. Not Jude, but Jobe. Galatasaray leading the chase to sign Nat Phillips from Liverpool, valued at £10 million. Everton keen to bring in a forward, as well as Udinese's Brazilian defender Rodrigo Becao. That's from the four-letter paper. Take that information at your own peril. Toffees, meanwhile, turned down a bid from PSV Eindhoven to sign Jared Branthwaite on a permanent deal. Once again, the four-letter paper. Forest in advanced talks to sign Keylor Navas. I know Jared's looking forward to that one. I think we all are. We mentioned the Hector Bellerin deal and Pedro Porro. Manchester City challenging Barcelona for the signing of Girona and Spain U21 defender Arno Martinez. Sevilla in advanced talks on Brian Gill from Spurs on loan to the end of the year. That's from our friend Fabrizio Romano. Newcastle have agreed for a fee of around £3 million for West Ham and Scotland U21 right back Harrison Ashby. Fulham have held talks with Sheffield United over Sander Berge, who's also linked with Newcastle. Cottager is also in advanced talks to sign Sasha Lukic from Torino. Brighton completed the signing of AIK and Sweden midfielder Yasin Ayari for €6 million from Fabrizio Romano as well. Aston Villa could look for a loan deal before the transfer window closes because Unai Emery wants to add at least an experienced striker to his squad following the sale of English striker Danny Ings to West Ham. West Ham got Ings for 15 minutes of action before he got injured. So there's that when it comes to that activity. Now, going over to our friends at Sky, seeing if there's anything else different in Transfer Center. Remember, Sean Dyche has been appointed Everton boss as of about an hour ago, 2.5-year deal. So we'll see what happens with Sean Dyche. Weston McKennie has arrived at Leeds 15 minutes ago. Their training ground to complete his medical ahead of the proposed move to the Premier League club. Remember, the first $25 million they agreed on. Now they're trying to get it to maybe 33. So we'll see what happens. Leeds with Adams, McKennie, possibly, and Aronson. Yanks, baby. Yanks with Leeds. Everton are in talks with Chelsea over a deal for Conor Gallagher. Everton have indicated a willingness to pay $40 million plus £5 million in add-ons to sign him permanently. Everything's on the table according to Sky. Loan, permanent switch, staying at Chelsea, but a move away is more likely, especially if the deal for Enzo Fernandez is picked up. Newcastle and Crystal Palace also keeping an eye on Conor Gallagher. Sean Dyche knows the work he's got to do for the rest of the window. Fenerbahce interested in Kyle Walker, according to Turkish outlet A-Sport. He's only played for City 10 times this year. Could make a bid of about £6 million for the 32-year-old. The added complication. So here's the complication for Keylor Navas. According to Jonathan Johnson, and he's a must-follow, John LaGossip on Twitter, there's a complication, bit of a debate over whether to be allowed to leave permanently or on loan because PSG have already loaned out the maximum number of players. In theory, one player would have to be withdrawn or recalled from their loan before Navas could move out. In terms of personnel, PSG are covered because they have Sergio Rico as their backup keeper. Navas is at the stage where he needs to be playing, can't be second fiddle to Donnarumma, so this one could go all the way down to the wire. So as far as Steve Cooper is concerned, John Joe Shelby, big signing to improve the squad. 2 players linked with a move away, Lewis O'Brien and Harry Toffolo. Saudi Arabia has not thrown in the towel on convincing Messi to join Ronaldo and elevating their league. Sky has been told the possibility of signing the Argentina international this summer in the near future remains open. Football officials in the country have empowered once again to prove the ambition of the kingdom, in quotes, with financial and commercial help readily available. This is all a part of the Vision 2030 manifesto. Saudi Pro League marketing itself as a division of new dreams in which the primary goal is to be an exemplary and leading nation in all aspects. Al Hilal were the only reason that they couldn't get CR37 was because of a transfer ban, which allowed Al Nasser to go and get it. Al Hilal are primed to make Messi the highest paid footballer in the world. So if CR37 is at 3 for 225, what happens then? Fulham talks with midfielder Josh Onoma to mutually terminate his contract. It's up in the summer. A number of championship clubs are interested in signing him. We mentioned Sheffield United in talks with Forest over midfielder Lewis O'Brien with Sander Berge in and out. And so let's see. Wolves completed the £15 million signing of midfielder Joao Gomes from Flamengo. 5.5-year deal with an option of a further 12 months. Lyon tried to hop in and hijack the transfer, but he wanted to join Julian Lopetegui. So that is so that's where that is with those. So that's your other transfer news specific to England today. You know, man, that hurts when you have to say that sometimes. Joao Cancelo in line for a loan move to Bayern Munich before the transfer window closes. You've got that out there as well. Inter Milan make a shock inquiry to Harry Maguire, according to some papers. Once again, take the information at your own peril. Marquinhos is set to join Norwich, and keep an eye on that for those of you who are fans of Arsenal. Avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter paper, specifically with their alleged information. Daily Mirror, Marco Asensio's contract renewal offer on the table from Real Madrid. Several other top European clubs have also made contact with him through his agent, Jorge Mendes. Also, Erik ten Hag's former Ajax favorite, Dusan Tadic, has seen a move to Roma fall through as Jose Mourinho attempts to resolve the future of Nicolo Zaniolo. Guardian, Leicester have completed the loan signing of Brazilian winger Tete from Lyon. Daily Express, we mentioned Piero Hincapié. Wilfried Zaha, according to The Athletic, could return in action in February after the forward suffered a hamstring injury. And we mentioned Nat Phillips. Livingston captain Nicky Devlin hopes that boss Davy Martindale won't leave the club for bigger offers amid potential Aberdeen interest. And so we'll keep an eye on that, or Jarrett will. Fame. Nix, remember Fame? Yes. Going to remember my name. Fame, exactly. I was trying to think. It's like Nix was busting out all of the lyrics to the Fame song with Irene Cara. So I was trying to remember where that was going. Wonder if the Gallagher move come with unlimited watermelons. Okay, so we'll see. Yes, unlimited watermelons. Well, it would have to come with the sledgehammer as well. And would Conor Gallagher wear the hat? Would Conor Gallagher wear the hat? That's the other question. Any other stuff that's on y'all's mind before we go? We've got TV to talk about, what's on, where you can watch it, all those kinds of things. As we get into today, we get into juice boxes with the TV games as well. ESPN Deportes at 3 o'clock. Villarreal Rayo Vallecano Plus on ESPN Plus, your FA Cup wrap-up before you get back into Gummy Bear Cup in the midweek. Derby County West Ham's at 2:40. The Plus also is the English language broadcast for Villarreal Vallecano. Paramount Plus, Udinese Hellas Verona, 2:45, must win for Hellas Verona if they're going to try to climb out of the relegation zone. Argentine Primera, 2 matches. Baracas Central and Godoy Cruz at 3. Bonfield and Union Santa Fe is at 6. Juice boxes for today before we go. And a couple of other reminders before we go as well. The high school game of the week starts tomorrow on the SDH network. It is Woodward Academy and Tri-Cities. Boys game only. That's at 5:30. You'll get that live on the network. And that starts our high school coverage. Don't forget, school's in session every single week where we take you around the state of Georgia and give you the latest when it comes to all the high school action there. It's going to be a very, very busy February and March for us as we sprint into the high school playoffs that'll be once again at Mercer and at McEachern this season for the GHSA. But the high school schedule starts tomorrow. Woodward Academy, Tri-Cities, boys game only. That's, I think, at 5:30 here on the network. Right now, live, you've got a lot of action going on in lower divisions, Middle East, North Africa. That's what's going on right now. Later today in the lower divisions in Turkey, that's at noon kick. Lower divisions in Europe also going on early through the afternoon. Super League in Greece. Derby County, West Ham. West Ham's a -128. Derby County at home's a +350. 245. Udinese at home is a -108, hosting Hellas Verona, who's a +3.25. Also, La Liga, Villarreal, -125 at home at 3 o'clock, hosting Rayo Vallecano. They're a +370. Then you also have action in Brazil and Paraguay, the LPF, the Liga Profesional de Futbol in Argentina, 6 o'clock. Bonfield, a favorite at home, is a +141, hosting Union de Santa Fe at a +222. Vélez Sarsfield is a -141 at home, hosting Gimnasia, who is north of +440. Also, you have Liga MX Femenil at 6 o'clock tonight, and that is probably can catch that on VIX and VIX Plus, if not TUDN. Necaxa, big underdog at home, hosting Club America. Club America is a -1,000. Also, at 8 o'clock, Tigres and Toluca. Tigres a big favorite at a -2,500. Match at 10 o'clock, Mazatlan hosting Cruz Azul's femenil side at a -345. Mazatlan at home is a +700. Chivas a -263 at home, hosting Juarez at 10:05 at a +579. Once again, thanks to all of you guys for everything that you guys have brought into the table this morning. As always, it's great to catch up after games where we have our Reaction Mondays over, under, and on par. And so tomorrow we'll be back at it normal at 9:05. And we've got a really cool 1v1 coming up tomorrow afternoon. And I'm not going to spoil much of it. I'm just going to say, you know how we talk about owners and celebrity owners for franchises in the sport? There's an interesting new co-owner for one of the franchises in the NPSL. We'll leave it at that. But we're catching up with that new co-owner later on Tuesday afternoon. It'll be released once again. Our high school schedule starts, and it will roll its way through. But yeah, very, very cool new co-owner for a team in the NPSL. We're going to catch up with him tomorrow afternoon and then post the interview later in the day. But it's very, very cool. And when we got the opportunity to do this, and we could not pass up the opportunity to catch up with this, you'll want to listen to this one. So it's very, very cool. 1v1 coming up. Also, this week, a programming note. Wednesday is going to be a power hour because it is National Signing Day. And as soon as we are off the air at 10 o'clock or 10:05, I have to rocket into Georgia Public Broadcasting for our all-day coverage, all day looking at what's going on for National Signing Day. We'll be live at 8 o'clock on the GPB Sports Facebook page as we caught up with everybody when it comes to National Signing Day. So Wednesday is a power hour broadcast to push us through the week. It looks like Thursday is normal, Friday is normal, but Wednesday is the only goofy day because of National Signing Day, but that special 1v1 coming up late on Tuesday. So, it is the OG signing day, Ricky. So, OG signing day is Wednesday. So, we're going to have a power hour there, but a very cool 1v1 coming up tomorrow afternoon. So, on that note, once again, thanks to everybody. And Jams, thanks for resubscribing. We really appreciate it. This will be rolled over into the audio form for those of you that missed it firsthand, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow at 9:05. Thanks to Jarrett. Thanks to y'all for having all your conversations, all your thoughts, as we always do. We'll be back at it again for Tuesday Thoughts coming up at 9:05, going through everything in Major League Soccer and everything else that we missed today and everything else that continues to evolve through today. Tomorrow is the end of the transfer window, but once again, reminder, it is not the end for picking up transactions. Just because the European transfer window pretty much fades on all your leagues tomorrow does not mean that your chase is over. So for everybody here at SDH, for Jarrett, for Jason, for Nick, I'm just John. Played safe, everybody. It is the end of the show. We'll be back at it again at 9:05. So that means we get to do this. We'll pick it up again in 22 hours.